Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome back to the Unibuilt Airbus A350. Today we're doing our first flight with the A350-900ULR, which stands for Ultra Long Range. And it is going to be an ultra long range flight. Most namely, we are going to fly this from Singapore on the world's longest passenger flight over to New York City, which is over 9,000 nautical miles. And if you're about to say, but hold on, Amy, that flight is only 8,500 nautical miles, then you're absolutely right if you count the Great Circle distance. However, since we're not allowed to fly over Russia, we gotta fly the long way around. And this is actually what it looks like. Now, funnily enough, SimBrief is actually not able to draw the entire flight on one single page because, well, it's simply too long. However, you can nicely see how we have to take quite a detour of over 500 nautical miles just to avoid Russian airspace. Now, when we're already sitting here going through the flight plan, let's just continue doing that for a bit. So this is what our first significant weather chart looks like. As you can see, again, no Singapore on there, but it would be somewhere right down here, that direction. We are departing through a turbulence area, and then we've got this huge area, including a little typhoon, that has CPs up to flight level 520, and that's just about the intertropical convergence zone once again. Now we are crossing beam Japan, and we are going to enter ETOPS airspace based on New Chitose Airport up here. A couple of jet streams that we're crossing along the way, but those are actually helping us with a little bit of a tailwind here. And finally, we are making our way into the United States across Alaska, flying pretty much directly above Anchorage, and then across Canada, down over the rural area over here, all the way down to the Great Lakes, and then finally New York, again with a little jet stream helping us getting there on time. In terms of the airport weather, loads of signals which I'm going to ignore, but most importantly, Singapore Changi has good weather conditions, and our destination New York JFK has very good weather forecast as well. A little bit of showers, but apart from that, good weather, and the same goes for our alternates in Newark. Now, with that in mind, let's have a quick look into our ETOPS airports as well. New Chitose at first is pretty good, nothing to worry about. Anchorage is very good as well. And then we've got Yellowknife, which has an awesome forecast as well. And last but not least, we have Winnipeg, which has a little bit of... now, how do I actually pronounce that properly? Which has a little bit of Foxtrot uniform in the area, which actually stands for haze and, well, basically smog from fires in the area. That's what Fox uniform is. Alright, so, with that in mind, let's have a look at the top of our plan. An on-time departure at 0410 is going to result in an arrival 20 minutes ahead of schedule in New York. We are right up here at the maximum takeoff weight with only 700 kilos of margin. And we are starting in flight level 320, we are ending in flight level 410 with a step descent just prior to getting into the New York terminal airspace, which we are probably going to do like that. Now, with that in mind, let's go down to the fuel section, even though there isn't much that we can actually do. So 118.6 plus 600 makes 119.2, we can round that up to 119.5, and then we're right at the max takeoff weight. So that's all we gotta do today. And with that out of the way, I suppose we're going to get straight into our aircraft for our ride. Now, starting with the safety inspection, the engine master levers are off, mode selector norm, thrust levers idle, landing gear down, the wiper selectors are both off, and then we can have a little look at the after overhead panel where we can cross-check the battery voltage, making sure it's above 25. And this is all good. So with that done, let's go ahead and turn on the batteries, all 4 of them, and the external power units as well. With that, our aircraft starts coming to life. Things are going to take a little powering up over here. So I suppose we're going to make good use of that time going down into the OIS. So starting down here on the flight up status page, let's go ahead and do the SimBrief import. We're in the 9 Victor Sierra Golf Golf on the Singapore flight 24 from Singapore to New York. Now, GSX has already come to life down here, but I suppose we are going to load the aircraft through this menu here first. So we are going to use the exact zero fuel weight over here. We will slightly increase the fuel, 119,500. And let's go set fuel, and I'm going to do an instant refueling here because real-time refueling would probably take about 2 hours or so. Alright, so the airplane is refueled, our sensors are coming to life, the flight warning computers are initializing and should be done with that momentarily. And here we go, very good. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's go back down into the ground handling menu. And I do want to get the air conditioning unit connected, that way we don't need the... just need the APU just yet. Okay, then we can request the catering services, please, and the handling will be by Singapore Airlines. And while we're waiting on this, electrical power is applied, so the AIRLINE are coming on. We can do the APU fire test. And that looks and sounds good. Then let's go down here onto the recall. So recall all, press and hold for a couple seconds. Looks like there's nothing in there. Dispatch page is not simulated just yet. And with that out of the way, we could start the APU, but I am going to not do that just yet. We will do that a little bit later. Okay, so with that in mind, the airplane is powering up. We do have air conditioning available, so I am going to turn off the packs in order to prevent any possible damage. Here we go. And then let's have a look into our pre-flight. So, starting down here, we have already dealt with our ground handling, which is in progress. The OFP is imported, wonderful. Then let's go for the takeoff performance. So we can synchronize the SimBrief data over here, which is Singapore's runway 20 center, synchronize the weights. I am just going to calculate maximum takeoff weight to be on the safe side over here. Air conditioning on if we can, otherwise we can turn it off as well. Let's hit compute. That's rather high speeds. Let's see if we can get something better with config 2. Yeah, a little bit better. And at this weight, I think config 2 is absolutely justified. Alright, in either case, we are not limited by takeoff performance, and that's the most important thing down here. Now, let's go to the terminal charts and find the Singapore charts. We need APC number 1. We also need the AGC overview. And then a quick look at the flight plan tells us that we follow the Towman 5 Bravo departure. So I suggest we are going to find that one as well. I do believe it's somewhere down here, if I'm not mistaken. That's 3 Echo. Towman 5 Bravo, here it is. Alright, and that chart is now pinned as well. Alright, lovely. So with all of that done, we have covered our EFBs. However, I just want to go down here onto the en route chart and just preload this. Just so that we have something in here. Alright, this shall do for the time being. And then we can just zoom all the way back in order to see our taxi chart again. Alright, and here we go. Now, with that out of the way, catering is ongoing. IRS is about to finish aligning. So let's cross-check our operating fluids. Oxygen is good, rain repellent is good. Then we can head down to the hydraulic quantities, which are at the minimum but good. And then our engine oil. For that we gotta power the FADEX. 1 and 2. Let's wait until they come live. Here we go, and that is looking very good. They are completely full. Lovely. So let's switch that back off again. Catering is in progress. Nice. And then let's go ahead and start our pre-flight procedures. So down here, ground, request, and well, it's a little bit early for boarding, so let's just start like this. Oxygen supply on, flight recorder on, ELT armed, everything else is set. Down here the seatbelt signs can already come on. Up here everything's set, refueling is complete so we can turn on the fuel pumps. Fire test is done, no lights up here, and we don't need air conditioning in the forward cargo bay. That's gonna save some 0.6% of fuel or so. Alright, leading us straight down here to the QNH. So let's have a look. Takeoff performance, QNH 1008. is now set, the other side is checked. I'm not going to do the radios just yet, but let's bring up VHF 1, VHF 2 and the interphone. Now they're closing the doors on the right hand side. That's a good sign to start boarding. So GSX menu, request boarding please. Alright, so that stuff is done. Then let's move down here. Everything's checked, and on the right hand side VHF 1 is going to come on, VHF 2 is going to come on, and the interphone is going to come on as well. Lastly down here, since we do definitely have 4 pilots on board of a flight like this, let's turn on everything as well, and you can have the interphone, you can have the interphone, and I'm gonna have the interphone. Alright, perfect. So with that out of the way, we can go into the FMS. So let's get out the table and the keyboard, and then we can start doing a little bit of work down here. So plan mode for you, constraints active, because we will definitely need those. Okay, so let's start. A350-900. Nav database is up to date. We can delete any and all of those previously stored elements. IRS alignment is in progress. So init, flight plan request, and that's going to initialize the assembly flight plan, received, and insert. It's just lovely when those things work. May take a little while for this to uplink. Let's give it that time. Here we go. Okay, Singapore 24, from Singapore to New York's JFK Airport, alternate Newark, flight level 320. Now let's see about the cruise temperatures. It's going to be minus 35 degrees. So minus 35, and the tropopause initially in 51,000. Like this. Alright, Costin X30 is good. So, IRS is finished aligning. Now, departure, runway 20 center, I assume. And we got the Tillman 5 Bravo, which is over here. Tempe and insert, and now for JFK. We're going to land on 22 left as far as the plan goes for now, and it will be the RNAV Zulu approach. Our star is going to be the India Golf November 1. And we are going to keep this for the time being. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not using the ILS approach, that's because the ILS has a couple of issues over there in New York. Basically, it vanishes at 400 feet and then comes back at about 200 feet. And since we have excellent navigational capability in the aircraft over here, I see no problem in simply going with an SLS approach or something the likes. That should be a very easy lesson to go forward with. Alright then. So you might have just seen that message up here. We are only boarding 161 passengers, and that is actually true because we only have 161 seats in this aircraft. Now why is that? Basically because the ultra long range version of the aircraft just has to be a little bit lighter than the standard versions, therefore it can't house as many passengers. Alright, so if you do want to fly from Singapore to New York in an economy class, which this airplane doesn't have at all, as you can see down here, it's only business, 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 premium economy. So if you do want to fly on a standard economy class, then Singapore does still offer a service with a landing in Frankfurt for a fuel stop over to New York as well. Okay, so everything's done down here. Now let's go ahead, position monitor. That's going to be Singapore 20 center. Now into the emergencies. Let's go for the secondary flight plan. Import the active. Now we go into F plan, Singapore 20 center, insert next waypoint. And that's going to be the SIN X, I don't know, I'm going to call it 4. Not sure if that's the correct number. I'll just assume it is. Alright, and that's going to be Whiskey Triple Sierra 20 center. Bearing, let's see. Oh, the flight plan over here, 203 degrees. Like this, and the distance is going to be 25 miles. Okay, store that waypoint. Here it is. Now we can enter a holding over there. And that's all looking good. And now for an immediate return, new destination is going to be Singapore. And that will be an ILS approach onto runway 20 center. Alright, so basically coming right back to where we came from. Now, secondary number 2. And that's going to be a copy of the active flight plan that we are going to keep for any purposes where we might need it later on. Alright, now back onto the primary flight plan. Fix info, and in here we are going to insert Singapore 20 center without the typo. Like this. The radial is going to be 203 and the fix is going to be SYN X4 as we have just entered it. Okay, perfect. Then let's go back down here and go into the step altitudes, and there are gonna be many of those. So let's see, we start initially in flight level 320, then we got 330 at Aldis. So starting over here with Aldis, and that's gonna be flight level 330. Then we are going to continue via Magma, flight level 350. So entering that, and flight level 350. Next up is going to be Ignis at flight level 370. So Ignis and 370. And then we're going to continue via Ophat in flight level 390. Next is going to be that latitude longitude waypoint there at 38, but that's only temporarily. Honestly, I don't see us doing that. So 370 at 166 degrees east. They actually want us to do a step descent there. I don't think we will. So O'Neill is level 390 again, and then Golf Kilo November is going to be flight level 410. So that's what I'm going to enter for the time being. Okay. And well, that's it for the time being, so let's just insert those. And with the steps now inserted, we can go back to the init page, wind data, and request. It's important that you enter the wind data before you do, or that you enter the step climbs before you do the wind data request, because otherwise your aircraft may only request a single altitude and nothing else, which makes the predictions unreliable. Alright, so that's everything entered. On the route summary page, I would now theoretically store that flight plan. And then we could cross-check it completely over here. But let's assume that the first officer has actually done that, because I'm kind of too lazy to do it myself now. Okay, perfect. And I think with that, we've entered everything we needed down here. So, QNH 1008. The EFSCP is set. We're going to climb to, I believe it's 4,000 over here. Everything's set, everything's set. Now we can load the safe taxi map over here, or rather the ANF, Airport Navigation Function. Yeah, I know that you're in progress ground handling. So let's give this a moment to actually load its map. Always takes a little while, as it's a lot of data that you have to transfer, and since the internet connection that Microsoft Flight Sim enables is really not the very best. In the meantime, cargo 88 complete, so it looks like we're almost ready. So, airport map has loaded. It just took an eternity, but that's fine. Alright. Very good. So then let's go back to our standard zoom setting and let's just cross-check the SID. Terminal charts. Zoom in for a bit. So we've got Ibixu above 1500. Then we're going to continue towards Ibiza above 2500, Dubot above 4000, Airviv at 6000, and then we continue via Mumdu towards Sepvo below 9000, Gotka, Webma, and Toman. So that's all correct. Lovely. Alright, so with that, our routing is basically checked. Our SID is checked, everything is done, so the next thing would be to collect the IFR clearance, and that's unfortunately a little bit of a problem, because normally I would do that via data link, but the IndyBuilds Airbus seems to have a couple of problems with that recently since the last update. We can give it a try, see what's going to happen. So say intentions is selected down here. Let's go to D-ATIS, update all, and see if anything is going to come back. But as you can see, it's not happening. So there is something broken with the latest update and the say intentions data. Okay, so be it. The same will apply to the PDC as well. So I'm afraid there isn't much we can do over here. So we just gotta default to getting a voice clearance. Yes, guys, that's just like in the good old 737 days. Alright, so let's see. D-ATIS departure 128.6.
Ways 2 center, 2 left. Transition level 120, advise on course heading.
And then
Altitude,
delivery will be on 1 to
and flight
165.
following is requested. Read back all runway and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact, you have information Yankee.
Okay, information Yankee.
Singapore Changi Airport, information Yankee.
Singapore delivery, Singapore 24 Heavy, information Yankee, request IFR clearance to New York and runway 20 center.
One second while I grab the paperwork.
Yep. So, gotta wait for his clearance. Without that, we are not gonna go anywhere. In the meantime, looks like cargo loading is complete.
X-ray is current. Cleared to Kennedy via the Toma 3 Echo departure. Then is filed. Departure runway 20 center. Initial climb to 4,000 feet. Departure on 124.05, squawk 5143.
Singapore 24 is cleared to New York JFK via the Toma 5 Bravo departure, runway 20 center, climb 4,000, departure 124.05, squawk 5143.
Singapore 24, read back correct. Ground is on 120.95, safe flight, sir.
120.95, Singapore 24. Okay, cool. So he said 3 Echo, I read back 5 Bravo. Why is there a difference? Because the 3 Echo is actually for runway 02 center, but they cleared us for 20 center. Or rather, I requested 20 center. So, yeah, little difference over there, but nothing too shabby. Okay, so runway 20 center is confirmed, 4,000 is confirmed, departure 124.05, squawk 5143. Alright, great, so that's everything done, and 124.05, I'm gonna tune that over here, just so that we've got something as a reminder. Alright, perfect. So with all of that stuff out of the way, let's do the cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers removed, fuel quantity. So that's 119,500 kilograms balanced. Barrel reference, QNH 1008. Cockpit preparation checklist complete.
Ground, Scooter 305, taxi to
Alright,
parking.
looks good so far. I do believe the boarding is completed as well. Yes, it is. Let's start the APU.
Scooter 305, taxi to parking via Echo 4, Echo Papa, Quebec.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel, in the name of Singapore Airlines. Welcome aboard our Airbus A350 on our flight to New York's John F. Kennedy Airport. The flight time today will be 18 hours and 5 minutes, and we do expect some occasional light turbulence, but mostly smooth flight. Make yourself comfortable, sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. And if there is anything we can do for you to make it more comfortable and enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, welcome aboard. Cabin crew, all doors in flight. So, prepare for pushback and departure. Waiting for the one left to close, and slides are armed. Beautiful. So let's now go down to the load
Singapore
sheet
24 request pushback.
and do the initialization down here. So, fuel and load, 160.8, that is okay. And the CG is going to be 28.8. Ew. What was that? Oh, they pulled off the ground power units. Luckily, the APU came online just in time. Why is GSX doing these things? So, we do have a status now. Let's see what that is. Deferred procedures, landing gear gravity extension. I don't think we'll need to do that.
Mentari 101.
Okay, that's fine. We can just cancel that. Alright. Apart from that, if we go into the out normal, I don't think there's anything actually active there. So that's fine. Alright. So be it. We'll have to deal with that now. So, passenger numbers are 161.
Request pushback.
The performance is still valid as we calculated with the max takeoff weight anyway. Okay, I think that is just about fine.
17904.
So, park and brake is set, the chocks can go. What are you... Hello?
Singapore 24 ready to taxi.
Singapore 24, taxi to
Could
runway
you
2 left
kindly
via
stop
Victor
that?
12, Victor, Victor 9er, Whiskey 8.
Come on. Are you real, GSX?
Victor 9er, Whiskey 8,
Are you
Singapore
freaking
24.
real? No comment. I do remember...
The cabin is ready for departure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, can we do some manual stuff here?
Cross-check. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Singapore Airlines Flight 24.
I just moved that airplane back towards the gate.
My name is Hiroshi Sato, and I am your lead flight attendant today. Joining me in the cabin are my wonderful colleagues, May, Raj,
This is
Aisha,
incredible.
and Ken. We are
GSX is such a piece of shitty software. I mean, really.
101 ready to taxi.
What on earth was that about?
Mentari 101, taxi to runway 2 left
Okay.
via Victor, Victor 9er, Whiskey 8.
2 left via
I suppose
Victor,
we'll
Victor
just
9er,
ignore
Whiskey
what
8,
has just
Mentari
happened.
101.
We'll assume our airplane has not just been damaged beyond repair when it's smashed into the terminal, and we're going to request our pushback clearance. Singapore ground, Singapore 24, request pushback and startup.
Singapore 24, pushback and startup approved. Face southwest.
Pushback and startup approved, facing southwest, Singapore 24. Alright, let's give it a go. So, let's turn the park and brake off. Hit pushback stop over here. Now let's see if GSX is actually capable of doing something. I mean, it kind of looks like it. Yeah. No further comment. Okay. This was unbelievable. Before start checklist, please. Park and brake is released. Takeoff speeds and thrust. 164, 167, 173, flex 48. Slides, armed, nozzles and disconnect memo checked. Before start checklist
Scooter
complete.
659er, taxi to
So,
parking
ground from
via
flight
Echo
we're going
8,
to start
Echo
engines
Papa,
1 and 2
Sierra
in that
Charlie 2,
sequence.
Victor, Victor 13.
Echo 8, Echo
Waiting
Papa,
for
Sierra
FedEx to
Charlie 2,
start.
Victor 13, Scooter
There we go,
659er.
timing 10 seconds. Okay, engine 1 start. This was so typical GSX. I just can't believe it. I'm doing my very best to present you guys with a realistic flight
Singapore
experience.
24, give way to the Hainan 737 on your left.
We'll give way to the Hainan 737, Singapore 24.
So, we have a typical problem doing a real-world flight at a real-world time once again. Since Say Intentions also has real-world flight at real-world times, There is another Singapore 24 on this frequency. Alright, just stop your pushback here, please. That is totally fine. I've had it anyway. So stop here and complete pushback procedure. And parking brake is set. What is it? No. No, 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 no. Stop. Stop. Backwards. Backwards. Abort. Fucking hell. This is such a piece of shit.
Pushback and start approved. Malaysian
Engine
628.
start. I can't believe it.
748 contact tower on 118.15.
I just can't believe how crappy it is. Alright, so is there any equipment still connected? The no-field steering disconnect memo is gone. The ground equipment is gone. It's unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. Alright, ground. Please disconnect yourself, walk into the engines, do whatever you can't, leave. I don't want to see you again anytime too soon. Alright, here we go. That's 2 good engine starts. Alright, so after start checklist please. Anti-ice. Ah, they got the flight controls in here. Okay. Flight control
Malaysian
check.
628.
It's not
Taxi to
standard
runway
Airbus
2 left
SOP.
via Charlie
So
6,
the checklist we've
Sierra
seen
Charlie
here
1,
are some sort
Whiskey 8.
company modified
2 left via
checklists.
Charlie
we
6,
don't
Sierra
know
Charlie
from
1,
whom
Whiskey,
they
Whiskey
are.
8, Malaysian 628.
Okay, so after start checklist. Anti-ice off, flight controls checked, ground clearance received, after start checklist complete. Singapore 24, request taxi to runway 20 center.
Singapore 24. Taxi to runway 20 center via Victor 13, Victor, Sierra Charlie 1, Whiskey 9er. Singapore 24 contact tower on 118.3.
This is annoying, that's the other Singapore 24. Singapore 24, taxi runway 20 center via Victor 13, Victor, Sierra Charlie 1, Whiskey 9er. Okay, Victor 13 is this one. And then we'll just continue straight down here for the time being. Actually, where the heck is Sierra Charlie 1? Is that the other side? No comment. Okay, brake released. Let's go. And we need a lot of power to get moving. And stop. Look at that, the rudder moves, but for some reason the airplane doesn't respond, even though the tiller is turning. That's gotta be GSX.
Mentari 101 contact tower on 118.3.
Yeah, look at that. For some reason there's still some GSX nonsense showing.
Over to tower. Mentari 101.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll kill the Throttle files. Exit. So now comes the big question. Are we going to be able to turn? Because if not, we've got a problem. Look at this. The tiller is fully displaced. Right, nozzle steering off and on again. Nope, nothing. What the hell? What are you doing, GSX? Perhaps if we stop here? Is that gonna help? Just to get it to move somehow? Yes, now we have a tiller. This was so annoying. Is that an FS Labs Airbus taxiing there? So, I gotta admit that was a very motivating last 10 minutes. Perhaps you guys can hear that in my voice. But yeah, what can we do? So now a quick look at the taxi chart, AGC overview. I have no idea where that taxi clearance sends us to. Whiskey 9, it's 02 left. Makes no sense, we're going to run a 20 center. He said that.
Vietnam Airlines 661, give way to the Scooter A320.
I suppose I'm not gonna comment on that. Not sure what's wrong there.
Give way to the Scooter A320, Vietnam Airlines 661.
But who knows what Say Intention might be thinking, what our current position is. Perhaps they think we're somewhere inside the terminal. I mean, the idea would be kinda obvious. Okay, clear on the left side, and everything is clear on the right side, so we are going to turn next to the right, and then via Quebec to Tango 1, runway 20 center, and that should be the full length. I don't think we fit into here. Just looking here, those signs, no way. Yep, there it is. Maximum wingspan 65. Okay, interesting. So with 65, we should actually fit in there.
Ground Singapore 107, taxi
But I'm
to the
gonna
gate.
take the next to the right because
Singapore 107.
that
Taxi
just
to
looked too
parking via
tight.
Echo 4, Echo Papa, Quebec. Victor, Victor 13.
Echo 4, Echo Papa, Quebec, Victor, Victor
So
13,
8
Singapore
knots into the
107.
turn. The right side is clear. So up here it says maximum wingspan 65 as well. That's totally fine. Over here I can see that I'm not running into anything when I actually take those taxiways. That's my primary concern here. Okay, so let's review the departure briefing. And actually I think we forgot to do the briefing in first place, so I'll tell you what, let's do it now. Okay, Captain. Takeoff, Singapore 20 center. We got the Tomap 5 Bravo departure, initial climb 4000. We are going to go straight ahead in case of an engine failure. The MSA on this one is basically 3000, so that's going to keep us safe. Extra fuel and time, let's have a quick look. It says minus 0.6, but we will be
Red Cap
absolutely
1794,
fine.
contact tower on 118.3.
Okay, thank you for
Over
that.
to tower,
So,
Red Cap 1794.
no hotspots for our taxi routing. Well, there is one over here, but that shall not bother us. Hotspot number 3. Okay, so let's see. In case of an engine out, straight at 25 miles. Stop margin for this takeoff is approximately 10 meters. Now, we can make an immediate return if it's absolutely necessary, but if we have the time available, then I would rather not and pick up a holding, run all the procedures. So the only reason for us to make a pattern and come back is really an uncontrollable fire that we cannot extinguish. Apart from that, I've got nothing special, nothing non-standard. Where are you turning, Gulf Air? Stop down there, please. Then we can at least take the first to the right then. Over here, November 4.
Thai 404,
That should be
push start
fine.
approved.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the right hand side over here. Getting away from that 787. The right side is clear. Okay, so any threats for the departure? No? Wonderful, so that's a briefing complete. And with that out of the way, why isn't the cabin ready just yet? Now it is. Okay, so let's see, we can either go left here or the second to the left. I think I'm gonna take the second one.
Malaysian 628 contact tower on 124.35.
And then we should be at the full length for 20 center.
628.
Alright, taxi checklist. So, flap setting, config 2, radar on, taxi checklist complete.
Thai 404 ready to taxi.
Thai 404, taxi to runway 2 left via Tango 1.
Okay,
Quebec
great,
1,
so
Quebec,
left over here,
Whiskey,
and then we're at the
Whiskey
runway.
2 left via Tango 1, Quebec 1, Quebec Whiskey, Whiskey 8, Thai 404.
So we're clear on both sides, there's no traffic coming. Let's see if they're going to give us a handoff automatically or if we have to ask for it. Let's see, tower should be on 20 center, 11825. And that's 20 center, Torah 4000 meters, that's what we've calculated. Singapore 24 ready for departure.
Singapore 24, you are on ground frequency. Contact tower for departure clearance.
How about you just give me a frequency instead of giving a dumb answer? Singapore Tower, Singapore 24 heavy, ready for departure, runway 20 center.
Singapore 24 heavy, Singapore Tower, runway 02 left, wind 090 at 7,
Oh.
cleared for takeoff.
No, it's not 02 left. We're at runway 20 center, Singapore 24. I mean, look at the windsock. This is quite clearly the correct runway. Singapore 24 heavy, lining up and taking off from a 20 center. Okay, I don't care. If ATC doesn't want to do their work, they don't want to do their work. That's fine with me. Alright, so transponder is on.
Singapore 24, runway 20 center is not available for departure.
Yes, it is.
Please use runway 20 left or 20 right. Singapore 725, contact ground.
I'm not
on
gonna answer to that. We'll just go.
120.95.
I don't care. Okay, we had calculator packs on. So, lineup checklist, please. Cabin is secured. Takeoff runway 20 center full length. Packs 1 and 2 on. And lineup checklist complete. So, weather on my side, terrain on yours. The right side is clear, the approach is clear. Are you ready? Takeoff. Stabilized. Manflex 48, SRS, runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. .100 knots, checked.
V1.
Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Checked. Losing quite a bit of speed here. Alright. So the gear has retracted normally, regardless of that status display down there. Quantum departure, Singapore 24. Thrust decline, climb auto thrust. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1.
Singapore 24, flight following is on request. Squawk 5143, the 9 dent.
Who talked about flight following? Singapore departure, Singapore 24 heavy, passing 1600, climbing 4000. Tags are on.
Singapore 24 heavy, Singapore departure, radar
Autopilot
contact.
1. No further climb, okay. Flap 0. So we need 2,500 by EBVA. Selected on green dot.
Singapore 24 heavy, Singapore departure, climb flight level 190.
Climb flight level 190, Singapore 24 heavy. And that's alt 6000 magenta. Okay, we're able to make the 2,500 restriction over EBVA. Barely just, but we can make it. Manage speed. And since we're clear to climb to 19,000, open climb alt 19,000 blue. Okay, well, that was a little bit of a troublesome departure. I'm not 100% sure of why so many things went wrong there. First, GSX messed up the pushback. Well, messed up big time, not just the pushback, but
Jetstar 71
however you want to call what happened
on
there.
120.575.
Then we got an incorrect
Over
taxi
to Lumpo
clearance.
radar on 120.575,
And
Jetstar 71.
Tower resisted our runway, which we definitely received earlier. I suppose it's one of those days. But we have a whopping 18 hours ahead of us, so let's not dwell over anything, but let's actually enjoy the marvelous views that I'm expecting on this flight today. You can see our rate of climb isn't exactly astonishing. 1700 feet a minute here. ISA plus 13, max takeoff weight, derailed climb, there's your reason why. But I am going to keep the derailed climb in for the time being, at least until we are at like 10 or 15,000 or so. After all, we are going to be flying for more than long enough, so there is no reason to prolong this one at all. So the 6,000 at AirViv is a hard restriction, but ATC has cleared us above it. We're in open climb, that's fine, we're going to pass that restriction.
Singapore 24, climb flight level 220.
Singapore 24, climbing flight level 220. 22,000 blue. Alright, acceleration flow pattern, flaps up, spoilers retracted, landing gear up, and packs on.
Redcap 17904, proceed direct Rumpa.
All
Cleared for the
right.
RNAV. Z, runway 20
So, my
approach.
friends, let's
Descend
see.
and maintain flight level 160 until established.
Descending to 16,000, cleared for the RNAV Z, runway 20 approach, Redcap 17904.
A couple of waypoints that we can already start
Redcap
programming.
17904,
So
contact
let's go.
Kinnabaloo Tower on
Waypoints,
118.3.
pilot stored waypoints, new
Switching to Kinnabaloo Tower on
waypoint. That's going to be
118.3,
ETOPS
Redcap
entry
17904.
point number 1.
Kinnabaloo
And
Tower, Redcap
that one is
17904,
located at
established on the RNAV Z,
north
runway 20.
4409.6 and
Redcap 17904, Redcap 17904,
East.
roger.
151, what's that, 36.2. Alright, store waypoint, then new waypoint. And this is going to be, well, what's the IATA code of New Chitosa? Let's actually find out. Romeo, Juliet, Charlie, Charlie. Search. APC. Charlie Tango Sierra. So this will be Charlie Tango Sierra and Orange. So north 5316.5. Actually, let's get that table out. Okay, and east 16953.9. Alright, store waypoint. Then, new waypoint. Next up, we're looking Anchorage to Yellowknife. Anch to Yankee Zulu Fox. And that's going to be north 6304.6.
Singapore 24, climb flight level 260.
Climb level 260, Singapore 24. $26,000 blue. Right, so let's try that one again. That's north 6304.6. And west 13307.8. Alright, store that waypoint. And another one, that's going to be Yellowknife Winnipeg. And you are going to be located at north 5659.5 and west 103.460.
Dear guests, we are now above the safe altitude.
And
you may
last but
use
not
your
least, we
electronic
need our
devices.
ETOPS
Please
exit
ensure
point.
they are in flight mode. Also, I'm pleased to inform you that our onboard
And that's
Wi-Fi
going to be
service is now
located
available.
at
If you need any assistance, feel free to ask our
5630.1.
crew. Thank you for your attention.
Like this, and last but not least, west 102.27.8. Alright, store. Now let's go down to the flight plan page and fix info, and that's going to be EEP1. Then we're going to have CTS Anch. We're going to have Anch Yankee Zulu Foxtrot, and last but not least, Yankee Zulu Foxtrot Yankee Whiskey Golf.
Singapore 24, climb flight level 280.
Singapore 24, climbing flight level 280. Flight level 280 blue. Set standard. Standard is cross-check, passing flight level 113. Come on. Now. And that's cross-checked. Very nice. Okay, cool. So that lovely stuff is in.
Singapore 24, contact Tanjung Pinang radar on 121.4.
121.4, Singapore 24. Radar, good afternoon. Singapore 24 Heavy, passing level 115, climbing 280.
Singapore 24 Heavy, Tanjung Pinang radar identified. Good afternoon.
Alright, fine with me. So then, we're above 100, so the lights are coming off, seatbelts are also coming off. Over here everything's set, down here optimum 340, maximum 351. Engine out in 175, so that's pretty low but shouldn't be a problem. 320 is planned, that's fine. There is nothing hard tuned in the nav aids. And I think that's it for the time being. So, with all of that done, I tend to say, sit back, relax, enjoy the flight with us, and then I see you in about 18 hours. Alright my friends, so we are starting our approach into New York. We are prepared for the RNAV X-ray runway 22 left approach, and unfortunately I did have to turn sane tensions off for this arrival. So we'll be doing it the old school way, radar vectoring ourselves. Now let's take a quick moment to talk about the approach. The RNAV X-ray 22 left is open over here. I have chosen this one, which is an offset approach by the way, making things a little bit more interesting. I have chosen this one because it does not give us the type of problems that we have with the ILS approach. You will probably remember from some of our earlier flights to JFK that the runway 22 left occasionally sees the glide slope and the localizer disappear at about 400 feet and then comes back at around 200 feet. In order to avoid that, we are just simply going to fly the RNAV approach right now. So let's go ahead and start working our way through this. So first things first, we're reaching 10,000. The lights are on, signs are on, and the EFIS panel is set. The landing system can be activated so that we can use SLS for this one. And then we can basically give ourselves a radar vector over here. So let's say something about heading 110. Here we go. Okay, lovely. So with that, we are already on the way. Now let's go ahead and now and start with the approach briefing. And that's going to be for you. All right, thank you for that. So we are going to do an RNAV approach over here. It's an offset approach, so LS is actually not available. Let's turn that back off again. We will be using standard final approach mode for this. 2 to left. ROP 0.3 is in here, 3-degree glide slope is in here, minimum 420 is in here, and we do not have anything special or non-standard. Extra fuel and time, let's have a very quick look. We've got 43 minutes in the form of 3,800 kilograms. Alright, thank you for that. So we will be flying a standard RNAV approach over here without anything really special. We're going down to 2,900 already. Now, flaps full, maximum reverse, and I will be using auto brake with BTV. Actually forgot to set that up earlier, so let's just do it now. So BTV will be in use, vacate the runway to the right, crossing 2 to right on the way in, and then we taxi straight to the gate. Well, and that's about all there is to this. I've got nothing special, I've got nothing non-standard. Do you have any questions? No? Lovely, so our briefing is complete. Alright, let's help the plane a little bit, get some speed brakes out. Okay, landing runway 2 to left, that's confirmed. And we can take the second intersection down here. Set BTV exit, auto brake armed. Here we go. Alright, lovely. So that's everything completed that we needed to complete. Wonderful. Then let's do the approach checklist, please. So, barrel ref, QNH 3000. Minimum, barrel 400 and... Why did that disappear? Still in here. Interesting. Alright, it's barrel 420. Runway condition, it's dry, auto brake, BTV, approach checklist complete. Okay, so activate approach phase, please. So, nicely slowing down, let's fly direct to Cockpit now. So, present position Gear 2, enter, nav. So, spoilers are back in. And that's looking good so far. So, flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Speed all star. Alt. So here's the approach chart just for reference. And no, actually I don't want that. Interesting. Doesn't the A350 have the standard final approach mode anymore? Well, in that case we're just going to do it this way. So 500 is set. Interesting that we're getting a constraint at 2500, but the profile is actually below that already. So not supposed to be like that. But okay, I'm not gonna complain. So, descent. Oh, that's interesting as well. That's better. Descent Alt 500 blue. If you would please start your descent as well then. Hello. Okay, thanks. I've seen what I needed to see. So, flight directors off. Come on, I pressed you twice. Thank you. Alright then, bird on, we'll fly this manually. And gear down.
2,500.
Why are you not going away? This is really one flight where about everything goes wrong that can go wrong, huh? Alright, runway in sight. Then set go around altitude 3000.
2,000.
Checked. And flaps 2. Speed checked, flaps 2. Interestingly enough, it did not sequence the flight plan down here, but I really can't be bothered. Flaps 3. And flaps full. Speed check, flaps full. So, why is the cabin not ready yet? That's looking better. Landing checklist, Ecam memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete.
$1,000.
Checked. Interesting, we're pretty much on the profile, and yet it tells us 4 reds. But okay, correcting that visually. I mean, we are too low, you can absolutely see that. Okay then, reaching Sosto. Let's make a right-hand turn, align ourselves with the runway. And here we are, back on the puppies. So, position the velocity vector right at the 3-degree line, then we should be able to maintain the puppy nicely.
$500. 100 above.
Checked.
400. Minimum.
Continue.
$300. $200. $100. $50. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Spoilers, reverse green, decel. Knots. Manual brakes. Okay, so next exit to the right hand side, and with that, welcome to New York's John F. Kennedy Airport. So maintaining the speed while we vacate the runway, but now we've definitely got to slow down. Okay, so straight ahead over here, and then we can do the after landing procedures. And here we are, 17 hours and 53 minutes. Alright then, so we continue straight ahead for the time being, and then we are going to start searching for our gate. It's not going to be a very long taxi in, indeed. Will be gate number 4 on, I think it's Terminal 4 that's straight ahead over here. So basically just over here on the map. Okay. So let's open up the ground chart. And here we go, Terminal 4, Gate 4. Okay, clear on the right hand side, clear on the left hand side. Strobe light on, crossing the runway. Right and turn onto Bravo, and then first left again. Strobes coming back off, APU on. That is looking good so far. Okay. So we take not this one, but the next one. And then to the left hand side. Let's see if we can get some GSX. Doesn't look like it. Nope, no GSX, okay. Okay, then back off to the right and back to the left. Because it's so much fun driving turns over here. So this looks rather congested. We'd better be careful here. Okay, so we made it onto hotel. Let's do one more attempt at getting GSX to work, but no. Okay, fine. Perhaps we can cheat through here? No, doesn't open either. Okay, so be it. Gate number 4 should be somewhere over there. Let's see, here it is. So let's make that right hand turn. number 4, up there it is. Okay, APU is running, taxi light off. So speed down to and below 10. Let's start the right hand turn. Okay, no guidance system, that's to be expected, and well, yeah, that should just about do it. So, park and brake set, APU bleed on, and let's wait for APU bleed to show on the ecam. Now it does. Shutdown 1, shutdown 2, and here we go. Coming through, all doors to park. So the GSX menu still doesn't want to open, lovely. So chocks in a position, engines are running down. So pumps going off and parking checklist please. So parking brake chocks, brake set, wing light, off, parking checklist complete. Well then, let's see. Looks like we can't trigger the jetway from here. Okay, that's fine. Well then, ground power unit. Jetway please. No? Okay. Oh, this is so annoying. GSX is completely messing this flight up. Alright. Well, in any case, that's going to be it for now, my friends. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you liked this one, even despite all the trouble that we had. Let me know what you want me to do with future flights like this, where, you know, things like GSX, even say intentions are acting up. Let me know what you want me to do with those flights in the future. I still think it was worth doing and showing, so leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.